This is indeed my last webinar before our big conference in a couple of weeks. So I'll be giving you guys actually a sneak peek into some of the things that are going to be released at the conference. Get to join, get to see some cool stuff. All right, we'll go presentation mode here. All right, so welcome everybody. This is our second webinar. So this is actually part 2 for Intro into BoxLang AI. So if you attended our webinar a couple of weeks ago, this is going to be a little bit different. There's a whole slew of new additions, and we're going deeper. So we're not going to see a lot of the basics. We're going to be moving a lot into more advanced things and little surprises here and there. So for those of you who do not know me and for the recording, my name is Luis Majano. I'm the CEO of Ortus Solutions. I'm a computer engineer by trade. I was born in beautiful El Salvador. I was raised in the US pretty much all my life. And now I am here in Europe, in Spain, leading the charge in our European expansion team. I'm a creator and maintainer of many, many open source frameworks and one of the creators and language engineers for the BoxLang programming language. And I'm the chief engineer for BoxLang AI. So to start, a few little announcements that we always give in our webinars of things that are coming up. Our first one is our Into the Box conference. It's just 3 days of pure geekiness surrounding AI and software architecture and craftsmanship. This is in the DC area, extremely cheap. If you're in the area, please drop by. It will be really fun to see you guys and hang out and learn about AI and all things BoxLang and, of course, software. Lots of little great topics. Of course, Maria Jose is going to give everybody special discount codes for all kinds of things. So just make sure that you contact her or she will contact you with nice little discount codes for everybody. Also, pretty much everything that we're doing is online. So I'll show you where to go after this as well. So there's tons of AI services available that you can go through and contact us and we can help you out. Also, last announcement is, of course, our BoxLang Pioneer program ends this May 1st. So only a few weeks left on getting lots of advantages for migrating to BoxLang. All right, so let's go ahead and start. So last time we did 2 phases. We talked about AI concepts and we kind of introduced into what is BoxLang AI. And we went through a little bit of the key features and some installations and some of that stuff information. However, this time around, we're going to go, like I said, deeper. So we're going to leave you with one introductory slide, which was what is AI? So remember, we're going to be covering all kinds of different areas around AI, specifically going deeper into this diagram of machine learning, down into deep learning, down into different areas around surrounding AI, especially Gen AI, which does LLM, image, music, and videos, computer vision, robotics, and natural language processing. So actually, we're going to be touching a little bit more on some of these areas for this session for today. So I'm going to move on and skip some of the things that we saw last time. Last time we discussed some of the problems with AI, and well, it is complex, yes. So it is not only about calling an LLM, there's a lot of things that are around an implementation, from memory, right? What's going on from a user standpoint, where are you going to save that information? RAG, which is basically research, augment, and generate, right? How we're going to augment our contexts with real-time data and information. Search, how we're going to be doing all kinds of searches. How can I bring autonomy and agents into the mix, right? How are we going to deal with tools in order to actually communicate in real time? And of course, how do you deal with so many HTTP calls? And how do you integrate with other services, right? So there's tons of problems here, right? And of course, all the LLMs have different capabilities. They have different APIs. They have different tooling, different integrations. It is crazy. And they keep changing their mind, right, all the time. And they keep innovating and innovating. And in reality, it's a very scary situation when you need to build a solution and so many things are changing. So we wanted to bring chaos and subdue it in BoxLang AI by providing all that for you. And that's what we have achieved. So let's look a little bit deeper into BoxLang AI. And where do you start? How do you get information? And we've done all kinds of things for you so you can get started really easily. So BoxLang AI is basically what I wanted was an abstraction layer, right? I want to be able to abstract any LLM, any type of memory, any type of anything that had to deal with AI. I wanted it to be abstracted in order for us to really scale, stick to an API, and then still take advantage of all the different things that providers could leverage. Okay, so you'll find all of this information online, as I'll show it to you. Okay. So first of all, BoxLang AI is a module that you're going to install within your BoxLang server. And remember, BoxLang can run in multiple runtimes. So you can run AI with BoxLang in Azure, Google Cloud Functions, and AWS Lambda. So you can actually create Lambda agents. You can do this in web applications. You can do this at the operating system level. So you can build your own open claw if you wanted to. Okay. So anywhere that BoxLang runs, you can drop in BoxLang AI module and you have this available. Okay. Like I mentioned before, abstraction, you have a unified LLM provider API. We support over 15 providers already with multimodality, chat, and embeddings. We have also the ability to integrate memory into our agents and RAG capabilities. So you have both search, normal search, and normal vector search available to you. Over 20 different providers, document loaders for over 30 different types of documents, so you can actually augment your vector searches. We have the concept, and this is really unique to us, is the concept of fluent AI pipelines. And now I'm going to go deeper in that. And of course, autonomous agents. We all want to build autonomous agents, and we get to do that today as well. Dynamic tooling, we get to see that today as well. And of course, MCP servers and invokers, and we'll go a little bit deeper on that as well. So we're going a lot deeper than we did last time today. Remember, if you go to ai.boxlang.io, this is our website. This is where you can get all the information about the SDK, okay? If you go to ai.ortusbooks, we've completely written a book around AI with all the different key concepts and all the main components that surrounds BoxLang AI, right? As you can see, it has been completely updated because today we released BoxLang 3.1. So we're going to be showcasing a lot of the 3.1 features today as well. All right, so let me move on and then we'll go over what's new in 3.1 on our demos. All right, cool. So that is basically BoxLang AI. Here we go. Important, like anything that we do at Ortus, we love documentation. We want to make sure the developers are empowered on this. So like I said, I just showed you the documentation book. It also comes with an MCP server, so it's available for you to integrate into your applications and coding environments using our MCP server. We have a new bootcamp, completely updated at that location, github.com/ortus-boxlang-BX AI Bootcamp. So it's a one-day bootcamp supposed to be done, and that's actually what we're going to be doing at Into the Box. We have over 50 plus AI examples as well available to you, and we're going to be seeing a lot today. And we love unit and integration testing. So everything is tested in BoxLang AI. There's a collection of over 700 tests, which is also a great learning tool if you're interested as well. All right, let's go through the key features and then our demos. So of course, abstractions, we talk to pretty much every major LLM provider out there. It is supported by BoxLang AI. If there is one that is not supported, let us know, we'll add it. It is completely customizable. All right, let's talk about multimodality. Now we're delving into the different areas of Gen AI that BoxLang AI now has available to you for you to start building your applications today. You can do chats, you can do audio now, you can do transcribes, and you can do translations, and images are almost complete. And video is coming soon as well as music. So you're going to have the whole plethora of multimodality available at your disposal. All of them are available to you right now to integrate. Let's start with chatting. So chatting is how we started, really, really easy. This is a very easy approach to start working with any type of provider. It gives you 3 BIFs for you to work with. 1 to do normal chats, which is just a single kind of one-offs. AI chat async, so you can actually build a little bit of Fluent APIs with our Box Futures inside of BoxLang. And streaming, of course, AI chat stream. So great little features. You do chatting, you do multiple providers, you can do structured output, you can do tooling, you can do streaming, and you can build this nice Fluent asynchronous pipelines. But there are problems, right? It is extremely simple, right? So if you wanted to do anything that has to deal with memory, of course you can't. If you knew an agent loop, you can't. You have more work in order to track state and progress and things of that nature. So great to get started, great to do very small pinpoint accuracy implementations. Next, let's look at something new in BoxLang 3.1 released today, which is audio. So our audio modality now is available to you. You can do 3 different things. You can actually convert text to natural speech audio. And this is done through not all of the providers. There's only about 4-5 providers that do this, but they do it very, very, very well, especially OpenAI. I would say that has been fantastic. Also 11 signals. And very easy. You pass in some text, some parameters, and you can take text and actually build now voice agents, which is amazing. You can actually get audio from folks or from a translation, and you can actually respond with audio now. It's extremely fast, extremely cacheable, and it works great. You can also do transcribes. So this means that you can take a complete audio file or URL or binary or even text and actually transcribe it. Okay, this is really fast as well, works really nicely. And then the last one is translations. So right now you can actually get from any language, whether it's audio or like a URL or a binary, and translate it to English. Now there's more languages going to be added soon, but the majority of the API is available to you today. Okay. Let's move on to tooling, which is important. And so BoxLang AI allows you to create tools for real-time data. And this can be done in several components. It can be done through closures or lambdas, or it can be done through classes, right? You can create a class with tons of tools inside of it, right? As you can see from our examples right here. You can pass them to chats, you can pass them to agents, or what we call models, and we'll see what all those means. And also in BoxLang 3.0, we introduced the concept of a global tool registry. And the idea that we had is that this tool registry, and we have a new BIF called AI Tool Registry, allows anybody within that ecosystem of your application to do automatic registrations of tools. So you don't have to repeat yourself, basically. Okay. And it basically creates also abstractions and aliases to your tools. Okay. So in our sense, any tool that you go through AI Tool BIF is going to be automatically registered in the registry. Okay. With a specific name that you pass. Okay. So in this example that we have here, the AI tool we call search. Okay. You can also create namespaces. And this is great because if you want to create a module for BoxLang and that comes with its own tools for AI, you can basically automatically namespace them and they will be automatically registered within the global tool registry. So this is for the third-party developers here to give them an ecosystem for them to build their own tools and provide them to, whether they're open source or not. And whenever they're installed within an application that has BoxLang AI, they can do that automatic registration. Okay, so that's our vision for tooling, is to increase the third-party tooling and people can start building more tools. And that's actually what we did. So in our version 3.1 that we released today, we have a ton of tools available to you within the core, and more modules are coming soon. We have core tools, which gives you today's date, which is really, really important, and the ability to actually do HTTP GETs. Now, our AI Plus module that we're working on will do things like Brave Search. It can actually do all kinds of different search capabilities, so more enterprise stuff that you have available. We also have audio tools, and these are the ones that we just discussed. So these are available to you to speak, to transcribe, and to translate. So that's automatically available to you. And then, of course, we build an entire file system tooling. And that gives you a whole set of tools that you can see on your right side. You can do from reading files or reading multiple files, writing files. You can even zip files, unzip files, and all kinds of things. So all these core tools are now available in 3.1. Up to you to use them. It is event-driven, so this is really, really important. This gives you observability into everything that's happening. We have a collection of over 20 different events available to you. We also have MCP servers and invokers, and this is something that we introduced in 3.0 and fine-tuned for 3.1 release. The ability for you to create MCP servers is extremely easy in BoxLang AI, and I'll show you where all the docs are around it. You can create a default MCP server, but you can create multiple MCP servers, and we'll manage all of them for you with the different prompts, tools, and resources. BoxLang AI Plus will actually come with a UI so you can actually manage and observe all these MCP servers. You also have MCP invokers, and this is important. And now basically we created a nice little language tool that you just basically can connect to any MCP server and interact with them. You have the concept of document loaders if you're going to be doing RAG. Okay, and chunkers automatically processes all your information and sends it to vector searches. Since today we're going to be talking a little bit and more examples about pipelines, let's discuss about pipelines. So this is a concept that I wanted to bring in with working with so many completable futures in BoxLang that we said, okay, why don't we bring this to AI? And that's what we did. So we have the concept of what we call runnables. And an AI runnable is basically adhering to an interface, and there are several objects around the BoxLang AI SDK that adhere to this, like messages, agents, models, transformers, custom, so you can build your own custom runnable. And what it allows you to do is a very nice UI interface in order for you to interact with it. So on the right hand, you can create that kind of pipeline flow. You start with an input, and then you start with different steps around your AI processing, all with different types of observabilities and guards. So for example, right here, we have an AI message, okay, that we start the pipeline there. We have a user. You can actually see that you can have placeholders with the traditional $sign squiggly. And then I can address that to a default model. So I can move for different providers if I wanted to. In this case, I'm going to my configure default model. And then when I get results, and remember, I'm not doing it right now. I'm describing how I want my AI pipeline to work. I'm not actually making it work right now. I'm describing how it works, okay? So a lot of functional programming here. And then I do 3 transformations. I basically transform the content that's bringing in, and then I can trim that text, for example, and then I can actually map it into a different result. So you have the power to do all these things. And there's all kinds of core transformers as well for you built into BoxLang AI. Then we introduced in a BoxLang 3.1 more parallel and asynchronous computations. So we introduced a new bit called AI Parallel. And with AI Parallel, it allows you to basically take in an array or a structure of runnables, and then it's going to basically go execute all of them in parallel and join them for you. So in this case, I have OpenAI, I have Claude, and I have Mistral. So I have 3 models running with different computations, and then finally I can get my results as I see fit. So we're basically allowing you to do a lot of asynchronous computations when dealing with AI, especially for that hard stuff that cannot be done very, very easily. All right, so let's get and see what BoxLang AI agents in BoxLang 3.1 look like. So we can start like how they were before. So there is an agent that can talk to multiple providers, okay, through a model. But now there's more things coming. You have that reasoning loop that's going to be available to you for input and responses. You have multi-memory right now available to you. You have a set of tools and access to the tool registry. So all tools are lazy loaded right now, okay, thanks to the tool registry. But you also can attach sub-agents to an agent. So this means that you can actually start dividing work or sending work to different sub-agents if you see fit. You have the ability to talk to vector databases from that multi-memory model or traditional databases. You have system instructions for those agents. And now you have skills. So this is something that we added in version 3, and we really fine-tuned for version 3.1. So now you can actually seed an agent with different types of skills, and we'll go through that as well. And middleware. This is something that we've been working on for more than 6 months, and we finally released in 3.0, and it has gotten better and better in 3.1. So let's go deeper into these things that you're going to see in your demos. Let's talk about middleware. So middleware wraps around agents and models in their different executions at different layers. You can basically call this the AOP, or aspect-oriented programming for AI. It addresses itself to different points of the execution, such as before or after the agent run, before or after the LLM call, before or after a tool call, on an exception, on a result, etc. And we actually give you several built-in middleware. Full logging, extremely useful, especially for dealing with so many HTTP calls and so many things that are going on behind the scenes. Logging, essential. Tries, as we all know it, some things go down, sometimes there's network congestion, etc. We don't want to fail immediately. There is a middleware available to you that's going to be able to retry without failing. There's also guardrails, which is extremely important for security. So we built a very expressive guardrail functional approach in order for you to actually protect yourself against attacks, injections, etc. Max tool calls as well. We don't want to recurse forever. We want to be able to protect ourselves as much as possible. And we introduced a human in the loop, and this is amazing. And we'll see you a few examples of human in the loop. And it actually allows you to basically bring the entire state of an agent and put it on hold while the human basically decides what to do, and then the agent resumes. And then the last one is really, really important for auditing and logging, which is what we call our flight recorder. So now this is introduced. Actually, very fine-tuned in version 3.1, and more things are coming in 3.2 as well for the flight recorder, but it allows full observability of everything that happened in the entire AI request, and it stores it in JSON. Okay, then you can actually grab that and completely send it to an agent again to run it without making any HTTP calls. So this is a great way for you to actually replay things and see what went wrong, what went right, what we can improve, etc. Essential. Like I discussed, memory is essential for agents. We've done the hard work for you guys. We can actually integrate with a tremendous amount of vector search databases, and more are coming. And of course, traditional RDBMSs for different things as well. And of course, in our BX Plus modules or enterprise modules, you have things like integration with Couchbase, with Redis, with Mongo, etc. So lots of work and things for memories. But let's talk about skills. This was something that has really taken everything by storm. Skills are now native to BoxLang AI. So skills are basically just markdown files that are basically used within your prompts to really specify what an agent should do. So these are reusable skills for AI augmentation. We use the standard of the skills.md. There are two types of skills within an agent. Always available. This means that these skills are always on. Okay? They're always going to be in your context. And there are lazy loaded skills. And these lazy loaded skills are basically just going to be used whenever the agent decides or whenever your prompt requests. So this is important because it doesn't consume or create context rot, and it allows you to basically be flexible. Okay. Now, you can also use skills from any provider, and I'll show you how that works as well. Or you can create your own skill. We even introduced our own BIF called AI Skill that you can use in order to create your own skills. We also have the concept of global skills. And global skills is even configured at the module level. So you can say, hey, module, look in this folder and load up all these skills that you find in that directory as global skills. Okay, so this gives basically a team the ability to have global skills and have very concrete skills for a project. Then we also have that Fluent API that you see on the right that you can create a new agent and you can say, hey, here are some skills or here are some available skills, right? So you can mix and match and integrate. It can be directories, it can be a file, it can be a path, etc. And of course, you can use that AI skill BIF in order to load skills or actually create skills, okay? And since we got a little crazy with skills, I want to announce today, one big surprise, that today we launched our own directory, and it's an open directory called skills.boxlang.io. Well, I'll take you through it. I'll tell you what you get. It is a centralized skills repository for all things Box. It is curated by the entire Ortus team. We have right now over 198 skills already in the directory. It is powered by BoxLang. It's actually a BoxLang application. And skills.sh, which is, to me, the #1 provider for skills by Vercel. We have the concept of core team skills, and there's the concept of community skills. So anybody can contribute skills. However, they have to be audited, and they are completely supervised by our team. So nothing is automated. Everything has to go through a stringent process in order to get into our directory. Okay. Now, it's extremely easy to get your skills there as long as they are not malicious, but let's go there. So let me give you a quick test drive of our new BoxLang Skills Hub, which is right here. So here is skills.boxlang.io. So if you go there, this is basically our homepage for all the different skills. Our most popular skills are going to be pulled here. We have our documentation, very simple documentation of what are skills, how to actually install them, how to use your skills. Our core skill repositories, we have 3 repositories. The BoxLang one, which is for the BoxLang language. And this is an interesting one. Let me go there, I'll show you. So in our repository for BoxLang, we have everything from BoxLang core development. So you're going to be doing core development with BoxLang. Or if you're a BoxLang developer and developing anything with BoxLang or actually doing migrations from CFML, we have all the instructions on how you can actually migrate from CFML really, really easy. Okay, and then we have BoxLang modules. So all the different modules that we curate and that we create, even our BX Plus ones, are going to be here as well. Okay, and then of course we have even different commands and different things that we're building. Even custom agents are coming that are going to be available for BoxLang development, or if you're migrating from CFML. There's also the Callbox skills. So this basically is for the entire Callbox ecosystem, from Cashbox to DocBox, Lockbox, Testbox, security practices, Wirebox, ORM usage, and all the plethora of modules within the Callbox ecosystem are all going to be here. Okay. And then, of course, the last one is the Ortus official skills. And these basically go through other deeper technologies such as Java, TypeScript, Python, Groovy, Grails, etc. So all the different projects that at Ortus we create, all our skills will be available here as well. So with that, our directory is here. Like I said, you can browse all of our skills. And like I said, this is also built on BoxLang, which is pretty cool, powered by the BoxLang mini server. You can be sorting by newest, popular. You can search for skills. If you want to see Colebox app layouts right here, this is basically the skill for the Colebox app layout. It tells you how to install it with NPX and with the new Colebox CLI that we're going to be releasing into the box. Like I said, I'm giving you a sneak peek. The Colebox CLI has a new skills install command, and this will communicate with our directory, and you're going to be able to install safely from this specific directory with SHA computations as well, and also with the different security audits. Like I said here, everything is being audited on a nightly basis every time that we do imports into our directory. And of course, you can even download the raw skill if you needed to. All right, so that's skills. We are very, very excited about this process, and we're excited to power the community and give a community so they can actually be sharing and going with skills. All right, so I'm going to delve into installation and doing our demos for the last part of our little webinar here. Installing is extremely easy. I'll show you how to get started with our intro project that we've created. But like I said before, you can use BoxLang in multiple runtimes. So that means that you can do AI projects in multiple runtimes. You can do scheduled tasks. You can do scheduled agents. You can do CLI apps. You can do desktop apps. You can do Google Cloud functions, AWS functions, etc. So the plethora of runtimes is available. And then, of course, it's important to know there's a dedicated AI log, important because there's so many things going on. Use it, okay? There's also the ability for you to register interceptors for observability, really important. And of course, remember, it's not magical. You need to actually pay a provider. Some are free, some are not, but obviously you need those API keys. So go to your providers of choice, register your API keys, and you can do them by creating a .env file. You can add them to your shell source. You can add them to your BoxLang JSON, or of course, don't add them in code, not recommended. And of course, I'm going to demo a little bit of these providers for you. So let me close the skills and let me show you actually where we are. So let me go and show you the repository that we work with, which is this one. And I'm going to put it in the chat. Okay. That's the repository that we're going to be working on. Like I said, we released BoxLang 3.1 today, and I'll give you just a very quick overview, and then we go into the code. So this was released today. Important things, the audio integrations. Like I said, we have 3 BIFs now available to you for doing speak, transcribes, and translations. Okay. There are new internal interfaces for this if you actually want to collaborate and work with us. There are different response classes now that we're growing, and all those response classes are actually available to you as a developer. So, one is the easy path where you just get an audio, but there are other available things here to you in order to make your development easier and more expressive, and you can even extend them. Okay? So you have the API documented here. We actually added a new provider, which is 11 Labs, and this is, for me, one of the best for high-quality multilingual neural voice synthesis. So really recommended for text-to-speech. Get an API key with them, and of course, then you add them extremely easily. The asynchronous computations for me is one of my favorites. I love adding completable futures, what we call box futures. And this was done at the Colebox level almost 8 years ago. And we brought it to BoxLang almost a year ago, and it has grown extremely, extremely well. And we have lots of plans for more asynchronous computations at the language level that you get to see add into the box. So the first one is that you have the ability to do asynchronous chatting. So now every runnable, so models, agents, etc., you can say basically run a sync now. So instead of just saying run, you say run a sync, and it's going to give you back a box feature and that then you can work with and create pipelines for it. Okay, very, very easily. Then you have the new AI parallel, which basically takes in a whole array or struct of runnables. Okay, and then it's going to basically go and run them all in parallel and then give them all to you, and then you can do any kind of transformations or work with it. Okay. There are the audio agent tools. So now that we're shipping tools and modules can also collaborate tools, they're all here with the different namespaces. As you can see, at BXAI is basically available to you in the tool registry. So now if I define a new agent called Voice Assistant with the AI model for OpenAI, I can say, hey, I also want you to be able to speak, transcribe, and translate. So now my agent now knows how to speak, how to transcribe, and how to translate. That easy. Then we did Final Agent Tools, and this is because of a new project that we're going to be releasing at Into the Box, well, at least maybe in alpha. And it also allows you to create different tools that are available to you for all kinds of things dealing with the file system, even from dealing with zip files, which is part of BoxLang. We have new memory events that we've added, and of course, the audio module configuration, lots of new audio events, and tons and tons and tons and tons of fixes. Okay, so again, this is the documentation. Check it out. Be extremely useful. All right. Oh, does the audio TTS support streaming yet? If not, any plans to do that? Well, as far as I did see, some of the providers did not offer streaming. So I would have to verify that, my friend. So if they do offer streaming, sure. I just didn't, the ones that I tested with did not offer me streaming. So, but if they do, let me know and we'll add it. All right, let me go through the intro and run a few of these examples and then we'll call it a night here. So in our intro, okay, please follow the README. It tells you exactly what is inside here and how to get started with it. Of course, the most important thing is to have BoxLang installed. That's the most important one. So if you actually say BoxLang -- version, you'll see that I'm running version 112. You'll even see a nice little file here called BVMRC, okay, which is 1.12. So basically this BoxLang is smart enough to detect that there's a BVMRC. And the BVM can actually switch even the versions of BoxLang that we're working with. So there is BoxLang version. I use the BVM, which is our BoxLang version manager, okay? Version 1.26, that's the one I'm using, and you can get it off of the website as well. And this allows me to manage different versions of BoxLang on my operating system. So right here, I'm working at the operating system level, not a web app, okay? I have an environment variable. I do not have any API keys here because I'm doing my demo. So all my API keys are hidden in my user home. But here I'm basically telling BoxLang, hey, when you load up, I want some special configuration, which you can find right here in my config folder called boxlang.json. This is important because this is how I configure the module. Okay. So here you see BXAI. This is my module configuration right here. Okay. And basically I'm using my open router as my provider. This is my default provider, and the default model I'm using the free model. You can use all kinds of different models. Okay, I'm also using window memory as my default with the basics, and I've also now, which is new in version 3, is the ability to define different provider profiles. And these provider profiles allows you to be able to switch to different named providers by using this name. And then it will basically use those providers with those different parameters and API keys if you wanted to. Different timeouts, logging, totally recommend for you to do logging, and we'll get to see that a little bit. The return format, the default is single. If you want to go all crazy and do raw formats, you can. And here we go with the new stuff, the new skills directory. So by default, it's going to look into a folder called .ai and see if there are any skills available to you. And these are going to be the global skills. These are just going to be skills that are automatically loaded into the skills manager, but not used by any agent. They're just available. Okay. And then, of course, here you can even add more global skills. Okay. And of course, our new stuff for audio right here, we have the default voice, which is OpenAI, our default output format, which will be MP3. And we have a default speech model and a default transcription model as well. And there's more settings as well for the audio. All right, with that, we can go and start checking out a little bit of the more advanced stuff. So in our examples folder, we have a ton of examples, but we're going to start with pipelines. And then we'll do a few basic ones, and then I want to move to agents. So let's look at a basic pipeline. So what does a basic pipeline look like? Well, it's basically a fluent approach for you to describe how you want to work with your AI. So in this case, I'm saying, hey, I want an AI message. Here are some system instructions. Send it to the default model and run it. That's pretty much it. So let's try it out. BoxLang samples. This is number 13. Oops, I forgot the extension. Okay, so there it is, running the basic pipeline, and there you go. Got my answer already. So artificial intelligence is da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, so that's how easy you work with the pipeline. Remember, the cool thing about pipelines is that until you execute the terminator, which is a very cool name, it runs. Without the terminator, it doesn't run. Okay, so let's get rid of the terminator. Run it again, you'll see it didn't run. Okay, and it doesn't run because, of course, it needs that terminator in order for it to actually execute. So it's a great way for you to compose AI graphs or pipelines and then execute. So that's the concept of pipelines. Let's go a little deeper. Let's do a pipeline stream. So we did a normal runnable. Now we're going to do a runnable stream. And we do here the same, explain AI and its usage, system instructions, default model. But now we're going to use the streamer. And the streamer basically is also normalized for any LLM. Okay, so it doesn't matter if this is OpenAI, Claude, Open Router, whatever, the same shape of the chunk is going to be available to you. So we standardized on this, and this way you don't have, we can move from LLMs and your streams stay the same. So right here, it's going to grab a piece of that content chunk and just print it out. That's all it's going to do. So let me go here to BoxLang examples, number 14. And here we go. And it's going to start calling and start streaming all my results thanks to our awesomeness of BoxLang server-side rendering and BoxLang chunking. So there you go. This is the ability for you to do streams using our basic pipelines. All right, let's go a little bit deeper. Let's go into pipeline transformations. So in this case, I have here a prompt, which is I would basically want to generate a recipe for chocolate chip cookies. Okay, and you can see here that I want that that recipe in JSON because I want the specifics. So I'm getting into structured output right here. Okay, and I wanted all those specifics. I want instructions as an array, nutritional values, and I say only return valid JSON. So that's my prompt. And then my system message is what are we doing, right? So you're a culinary expert, return only JSON, numeric, not extra text. I'm going to send it to the default model, and I am going to use our built-in JSON extractor. So now we're going to be working with JSON. I don't have to do anything weird. I just say, hey, I want all this stuff as JSON. There you go. So now my pipeline keeps going. And then I say, once I receive that JSON, I want you to transform it into my new recipe transformer. So now I'm going to take the result that's come from the LLM, and we're going to go to our models right here, and we're going to look for a recipe transformer. And here's our recipe transformer. So a recipe transformer has one function called transform, which adheres to our interface. It receives the input, okay? And then, boom, I basically deal with my recipe as I see fit, and I'm going to use it. So you can see here, I deserialize the input, and then I'm going to create the recipe Luis style, Latino style, with a lot of spice. And then I'm going to transform it even further by adding a fun header to format the recipe right here, and then I'm going to run it. So let's go and build some chocolate chip cookies. All right, samples, number 15, and let's build some cookies. So let's see if it works. You never know. And it worked. Great. Here you go. So here's your delicious recipe for chocolate chip cookies. Classic, chewy chocolate chip cookies. There's the prep time. There's my cook time. There are all my ingredients and my instructions. Boom. So just like that, I actually created a nice fluent pipeline to use the AI as a tool, extract and build as JSON natively using structured output, and then transform it with my own transformer according to my own rules. And as you can see, as a class, because it was a very complex one, but I can also do a very nice little closure or lambda, right? So actually, I can convert this to a lambda because I don't need anything from the outside world, and it'll run way faster and consume a lot less memory because it's a lambda and not a closure. So, I blew up. Maybe I'm using something. Oh, I'm using the formatted recipe. That's right. I can't because I'm using all the internal stuff. Forget about it. But just so you know, the differences in lambdas and closures in BoxLang is that closures have access to the ecosystem, lambdas do not. All right, so that's the pipeline transformations. Let's go into structure output. Very similar to the transformation. In this case, I'm basically talking to the LLM and saying, hey, I want you to extract some information, and I want a product schema. So now I'm providing a schema. So what is my schema? In my case, the structure output that I define is a class. So if I go to models, there's a product. This is my class. So this is my schema. My schema could be a class, or my schema could be inline. I could actually build it inline as I see fit, or it can build as an array of structures. So you have choices here in structure output. But in this case, I mapped it to a specific product class. And as you can see, once I run the pipeline, my result is actually my product class. So now here, you're basically integrating your entire basically system of classes with an LLM by doing population. There's even a BIF that we call AI populate as well. So this is something that made popular in Codebox, the model populate. Now you have an AI populate. Okay. Let's run this guy. BoxLang examples 16. And there is my structure output, and there it is. That's the extracted class. It built the class automatically for me using that signature and got cooking. All right, let's go into, let me see what is interesting here. Let's do this one, and then we'll move on to agents. Actually, let's move to agents. Our time is limited, so let's go to agents. So let's go to a basic agent, and then let's go into a little bit further here. So what is an agent here? Well, I'm defining an agent right now with a specific name, description, and instructions. And now I can persist my agent. So agents in version 3.0 are actually stateless. So you can actually save them and basically interact with those agents. And here it is. It basically, I can start iterating and working with the agent, and it has memory, right? So it remembers all the other questions that you asked around it. You can ask for summarizations, right? And then you can even see its configuration, and you can even see its memory messages, right? So very, very easily, you can basically build those agents and execute them and work with them. So if I just say BoxLang examples, number 19, my basic agent, you see, okay, what is the capital of France? And then it tells me, and then I'm going to ask a follow-up question, and it's going to be remembering all these questions and all the answers, right? What is the differences? We'll let it run. Obviously, remember, this is going out. I'm on the free model, so it might take some time sometimes. My next question right here, and then I can actually view the agent configuration and the memory. And you can see it dumps out here my window memory that I have right here. So all this is stored inside of the agent, okay, in our window memory approach. And you can be using any type of memory, okay? So, and the configuration also gives you all kinds of insight into how the agent is composed, okay, which is something that we really wanted for observability. All right, let's move into memories. So remember, an agent can have multiple memories in BoxLang AI. So you can see here that I have actually created one with the user ID and conversations. So I'm using specific memories for specific users and for specific conversations. I create a summary memory, which is really interesting. So this basically has a low threshold, of course, because in demo mode. But it's going to basically use the Open Router auto model in order to summarize my memory when it gets too big. You remember, when you're doing something with the LLMs and it says compacting history, compacting conversation. Well, this is what it is. It's basically summarizing your context, okay, because it's getting too big. Then I'm going to also use a file memory because I'm going to use persistence because why not? Maybe I'm building this in an embedded device. Okay, and here it is. I'm also creating a memory bound to that specific user and conversation. You don't have to, especially in version 3.0, you don't have to bind the memory to a user ID or conversation. The memory can be stateless as well, but in this case, I'm binding it, okay? And then when I create my agent, I give the normal name, description, and instructions, the model that I'm going to be using, which is the default one. I don't even have to do this. This is just for you to see. And then I'm giving it an array of memories, and then it's going to fan out that information into those memories. And then I'm going to have a set of questions here. See, so I have 5 questions I'm going to be asking my agent. What's your return policy? How long does your shipping take? Do you offer international shipping? What payment methods do you accept? Can I track my order after I purchase? And then basically we're going to go and ask the agent all these questions. And then we're going to check out and see some memory statistics. We're going to see what's inside of the summary. We're going to see what's inside of the file memory, and we can introspect it. So let's get this rolling, okay? And here you go. It's going to start basically going through the iteration of questions with my agent, okay? And if we actually check out here our data, we see that it turned green because a new memory has been created. And you can see here that this is the new memory file JSON. So let's format this document, and you'll see that this is the actual memory that's taking place in file, okay, for the user. Okay, but you can also see here on the memory methods that there are only 3 messages in the summary because it got compacted. So you can see that the last 5 messages from the summary memory are not 5, but are actually just 3, because the previous conversation right here was summarized. Okay, so this is the cool thing about the summary memory, is that it's going to be always there summarizing and summarizing and summarizing, and then you can combine it with other types of storages as well. Okay, so memories can be very complex as well, but we've tried to demystify that as well. And you'll see here that every memory is searchable as well. So the interface even allows you to actually do searchable, where a vector search comes into place. All right, those are memories. Let's go a little bit into skills, because this is the new stuff. So let's look at example 23, which is skills. So in skills, what I'm going to show you here is how easy it is to build an agent with skills. So right here, I'm going to create my own skill. And my skill is going to be called professional tone. Here's my description of my content. This skill lives in memory. It's ephemeral, okay? I can use that skill, pass it anywhere I like, use it as destroy it, okay? Here's a file-based skill. I can say, hey, I need you to load up this skill. So I'm not creating a skill no more. I'm actually loading a skill right here called BoxLang Expert skill, okay? So I'm loading that skill up, and then I'm going to use it, okay? And then now I can create my AI agent, which is my BoxLang assistant. I say, hey, you're a helpful boxing coding assistant. Use the default model. I want you to use my tone and my BoxLang skill. And then I'm going to basically ask it a few questions, okay? Right here. How do I read a line from the CLI in BoxLang? Okay, that's my response. Now, here, I'm also going to do lazy loaded skills. So before I did normal skills, which is basically loaded all the time, this one is going to be determined by context. So here, it basically says, hey, you're a BoxLang code reviewer and security auditor. Check code for correctness, style, and security issues. Use your available skills to guide your analysis. So in that case, internally, BoxLang AI will produce a snippet of available skills inside of this context that is very short, with descriptions, saying, hey, whenever you need something, lazy load them. And then the agent is created with those lazy loaded skills. So you can populate it with 1,000 skills. It doesn't matter. It's not going to even take up that much of your context. Okay. And then we can actually use it, and it will work through our responses. And then finally, it ends with a combination of those skills. So let's leave this running for some beautiful skills. And there you go. It's going to do the 2 skills. It's going to be, how do I read a line from CLI in BoxLang? It actually showed me right here how to do it, which is actually correct. And then I can go into the next section for my reviewer. So you can see that right now, using my other skills that are lazy loaded, it's going to actually give me a code review for this horrible piece of code that I just wrote right here. So it's working, and I didn't put streams, so you can't see the streaming result, but it'll take a while and it'll come in. Okay, and then you go. It actually gave me recommendations, suggestions, and I can go to the final one, which basically is a consumption of both normal skills, which are always on, and lazy loaded skills as well. Okay. And there you go. It completed right here with everything. All right. So skills, use them wisely. Don't go all gung-ho with skills. Use the lazy loaded skills. Trust me, it's going to save you money, and it's going to save you on context. Let's talk about middleware. We're going to do the middleware and then the middleware human. So middleware, like I said, is the AOP of AI. And in this case, I'm going to create a tool here called Get Order Status. Okay, which just looks up an order in my fake database. And here is another AI tool called Run SQL, which executes SQL safely, supposedly. And then here's another AI tool called Delete Customer, okay, which deletes a customer by ID. And then another AI tool that says, hey, I want to do a deploy of my release. This maybe talks to Portainer or talks to GitHub Actions or whatever. I pass in a version and an environment, and they will deploy it. All right, so let's look at the logging and the flight recorder. I'm going to create a new logging middleware, and I'm going to say, I want you to log to a file, log to the console as well. The upper level is info, and my prefix for my logs are going to be order agent. Then I also want you to prepare a flight recorder. I want to be able to see everything so I can do it and repeat and find what I've done wrong, or even do a unit test. Here's my flight recorder middleware. The mode is to record because you can actually do a replay. Okay. And my fixture path. This is where I want you to save the flight recorder. And then I create my agent with my instructions, my model, my tools, and then my middleware. And then basically it's going to run. And then we're going to stop and see what it did. All right. BoxLang samples 24. There's my first one. Okay. So you can see right now the logging middleware is sending me a lot of information right here. Okay. So you can see here the order agent, LLM call starting, LLM call complete, LLM tool call starting, LLM tool call complete. So now you have deep insight into what's going on, okay, which is extremely needed, okay? And then at the end, you'll see the middleware registered, recorded interactions, and my through my flight recorder. So let's look at the flight recorder. That should have been in flight recorder example 24. Let me format this guy. And you'll see that it takes basically everything on the interactions, okay? Gives me a version for my flight recorder, when it was recorded, by which agent. And then in the interactions, we can start going through it, and you can see here the request. So this was actually the request of the interaction. These are the different tools as it started going through the actual process. There is a type. So this was an LLM type with that specific sequence, and the response as well with my different IDs, right? And my choices and everything that came back. Look, this is actually from Google Gemini. It came from Google Gemini. So this is really, really cool. This is really one of the best ways to actually see what happens inside of your agents. And we're building a whole suite of observability tooling for you in BXAI Plus, so you can actually visualize your flight recorders and actually analyze them and actually run them through another model and see how you can improve them, etc. All right, so that was the first one. Let's look at the next one, which is tool safety. So an example number 2, we're going to create a new guardrail middleware. And this was really important for me when I started building with this. Is I want to be safe. Right? I'm paranoid, so I want to make sure that only the things that I run. So I'm saying, hey, I want the following tools to always be blocked. Okay? And also, remember, you can create different guardrails as role-based security. So for example, you can create a guardrail middleware for an admin or for a normal employee or a contractor, okay? And block specific tools from usage. I can also do arg patterns. So I can say, hey, whenever somebody calls the run SQL tool with this argument, compare it against this regular expression, and if it doesn't pass, then bye-bye, do not allow it. And here is a safe ops agent, okay? There is my run SQL and delete customer. There's my new login middleware, so we can actually see what happens, and my guardrails, which in this case is not allowing deletes and not allowing that drop, truncate, or delete. So let's run it. Okay, and you'll see the guardrails for tool safety is there. Use the delete customer tool to remove customer 42. That was my prompt. And then you can start going through it. See, input, okay, LLM model, okay, delete customer right here, tool call starting, right? And then you'll see the response, the tool, delete customer tool is currently blocked and cannot be used, okay? So you can see the delete customer right here was completely blocked and not used. And then the delete query goes to the same right here. The agent says the run SQL tool is currently blocked and cannot be used. So there you go, guardrails. Very, very important, okay? You can create them expressively or simply. All right, let's look at human in the loop, another guardrail. So in this case, what I'm building is something that I need a human response. So here it says, hey, I want to deploy something to production, okay? So here's my human in the loop. And I basically say, here's my agent. I'm going to say approval agent. You coordinate deployments. Use the deploy release tool when the user asks to deploy the software. Here's my deploy tool. I'm actually going to use a new memory here called cache, just for kicks. But this is for my checkpointer, because now I need to be able to suspend my agent. So the agent needs to go into some type of suspend motion in order to address the human in the loop and then continue operations. Okay, and then I'm adding 3 guardrails here so you can see. I'm adding the logs so we can actually see it. And then the human in the loop. And since I'm in the CLI, BoxLang is smart enough to detect the mode and actually ask me through the CLI. Okay, this can actually be a complete mode, which could be other. And this can be a WhatsApp request. This can be Slack. This can be a phone call. This can actually be anything you want. Okay, but in my case, we created one specifically for BoxLang CLI. and basically say, hey, for any time that there is a deploy release, please, these tools require my approval. So let's try it. BoxLang examples. I'm going to deploy something to production. There you go, human in the loop. And it says, boom, it stopped. And it says right here, input deploy version 2.41 to production. And right now the approval agent is running. And it says, nope, you need to actually get approval. And here it is. So I say, no, you do not have approval, reject. And there it is. Then says, I'm sorry, I cannot fulfill your request because it was rejected. So let's approve it this time. Let's run it again. There's the BoxLang CLI human approval required. I'm going to say approve. And there you go, deploy complete. Okay, so this is basically showing human in the loop using the CLI, which is baked in. So it means that BoxLang AI is smart enough to actually create this UI for you. Okay, but you can actually choose nothing here, and it will default to whatever you want, or web, which basically means do whatever you want. It's up to you. You can actually define what's going to happen here as well. Okay, so in this case, you define what happens by basically looking at the result. So here, when I run it, and I can look at the status in this case, and I can say if the status is instance of the human approval stuff, which I can't remember the name. So I'm going to call it approval status, approval object class. I can't remember what it was. And status needs approval. So if that's the case, then I'm going to build the approval or send the approval right here, and then wait for it. And then I'm going to basically say approval agent resume with that approval ID and the result of whatever it was. So we built all these APIs for you to make it really, really easy for developers to create very expressive human in the loop interactions. Okay, close that, save it. And I'm gonna end off with the audio stuff. I know we're running out of time. Oh, MCP server. Let me run that one. So this is also new in BoxLang 3. And this allows you to basically seed lazy load MCP servers as tools into an agent. And this is where the power comes in. I basically say to this agent, hey, here is this MCP server, which is actually the BoxLang docs, the real docs. So we're going to actually test the live docs right now. And it says, hey, I want you to create a new MCP server. So look at this. I'm creating a new MCP server with a specific timeout. Here are my discovered tools just to show them to you. And then I'm going to seed my agent with that live MCP server, okay? And then I'm going to run queries against it. In this case, I'm doing streams. So let's do some streams, and let's talk to the BoxLang docs. So 26. So this is important. It means that any MCP server out there, I can basically seed my agent with it, and it's going to use it as a normal tool, okay? So incredible. So now let me run it, and now it's going to be discovering two tools, and it's going to basically discover the tools, and there you go. That's live from the BoxLang docs, live, okay? So all that information came from the BoxLang docs thanks to that MCP URL. And of course, this is very simple stuff, but you can extrapolate from here. All right, let's do a little bit of speech, and then we can move on. So here's the first example. Very easy. What I'm going to do is say, hey, here's an output file. I want you to put the output right here, and I say, hey, hello, welcome to BoxLang AI. This is a simple text-to-speech example. And then I'm going to save it and run it. Okay, so let's try that guy. BoxLang examples, number 28. Okay, and it's going to basically go to my model and go and create that audio for me, and it did it. So let's go to data, and there is hello. So let's see. So it built me my MP3, it did what it did with the voice that I wanted, which is the default voice. And there you go. Simple as that. So let's do a custom voice. So example 2, which I'm about to run right here, is using the Nova voice. And it says, BoxLang makes AI integration simple, elegant, and fun for every developer. Here's my different model. So I choose a different model this time. I want HD voice quality. And here's my Nova voice. And there we go. Let's pass them in and let's run it. Let's go next. Custom voice and HD model. And there it is. There's Nova HD. Let's run it. Ooh, sounds great and real. All right. So that one's it. Created the voice. Here's another one. Here's a speech response using the speech response object. And I say, I want you to speak this sentence with this voice right here called Alloy. And then I'm going to get the response, and I'm going to save it to wherever I want. So you see, there's a differences here. I can pass parameters, or I can do whatever I want as a developer with the responses. So we'll do that one. We'll do it next. Okay, and that will be data alloy. And there it is. That's it. Text to speech. And then the last one, you can do a little bit more fun stuff. I can say, I want you to say, ahoy, welcome to BoxLang AI, the finest treasure on the 7 seas, using Ash voice, but with specific instructions. So I can say, speak like a dramatic pirate, use R and seafaring vocabulary. So in this case, I'm getting fancy, and I'm doing a little bit of pirate voice using Ash, and it's going to save it in my pirate MP3. So it's running, executing my voice style instructions. And then the last example is just doing a calm narrator. Okay. So again, lots of cool stuff that you can do with audio and voice. In this case, I guess the pirates are off in a mutiny or something because it's taking a lot more. I'm even paying for this sucker. Oh, it timed out. Beautiful. This is the first time that it times out. That's crazy. All right. I guess OpenAI is extremely busy right now. But anyways, you'll see that here's the pirate that I've done it before. All right. So we'll do the last parts, and then I'll open just to questions and stuff like that. So I was doing the transcribes, and obviously I lost the internet. So whatever happened. But here's the transcriptions. As you can see, it's transcribing all my MP3s into the different languages and doing round trips as well. So like I said, there are tons of great stuff in here. You can go from very simple to very complex. I've finally curated these 30 examples in the BX intro. I know for a fact they all work because I've done them right here live as well. And there's also the MCP ones that I didn't get to show you, but all of the MCP ones are there available to you as well. So please give it a shot. Do a clone of my repository, work with it, and give us your feedback. Like I said, our BoxLang 3.1, we haven't even made the announcement yet. It was just released this morning, and we're going to go and do our press releases about it tomorrow. So you get to have a sneak peek of what's coming. We also haven't even announced anything about the BoxLang AI skills, so please keep it secret, keep it safe. We're not going to be releasing this until into the box. So very excited. As you can see, got into this AI world for almost a year now, and I'm really excited to see where BoxLang AI is going. We have a lot of plans for it, a lot of things that we're starting to build with it as well, and a lot of customers already integrating. Got tons of people sending me pull requests left and right as they are integrating with BoxLang AI into their applications. So this kind of concludes our webinar, giving you a sneak peek into more things about BoxLang AI. And now I'll move into a little bit of Q&A and see how I can help for the next 10 minutes, and then we can call it a day. So let me go to the chat. I thought Scott says, AI took over his computer. It was a bad skill, Scott. It was a bad skill that took me down. Oh, you know what? The audio was not coming through because I forgot to click the little button that says share audio. So I'm sorry. I thought you guys were hearing this stuff, but it's actually in the repo. You can see all that in the repo. I actually published them so you can see them. So all that data is in the repo and you can hear them. Okay. Are they live on YouTube? And thank you very much.